we think about the greatest gaming platforms of all time, the Nintendo DS isn't usually spoke about, despite it being the second best selling platform of all time, selling an estimated 154 million units, and that is within a million units of the PS2. But the Nintendo DS, despite its strong sales figures, divides gamers' opinions, with some citing it as nothing more than a gimmick that placed way too much emphasis on touch controls. Others, however, see a device that revolutionised gameplay, offering features that enhanced gameplay and acted as a gateway for people who may never have played a games console before. And that was the genius of the marketing. Often you would see older people using the DS to play games like brain training and even reading a book. You would also see celebrities playing games, as well as what you would perceive as regular gamers playing the likes of Mario and Pokemon. My love for the system is relatively new, I have to admit, and I am picking up games for the system, but I am only collecting games that I want to play or sound interesting, because games like Russell Grant's Astronomy just have no place in my collection. Speaking of which, let's take a look at my collection. So rather than showing each title one by one, I'll group them together and highlight the better or more unique games. First off then is a franchise that's synonymous with Nintendo, and that is the brilliant Pokemon franchise. And the DS had a lot of the best titles of any Nintendo consoles in my opinion. The mainline games continued with Diamond, Pearl and Platinum, and then with Black and White and Black and White 2 later on in the DS's life. My favourite Pokemon game, however, is actually the Gold and Silver remakes named Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And the reason being is that the games came bundled with what is called a Pokewalker. Now this thing is a pedometer that allows you to access rare items and Pokemon the further you walk, and it also allows you to carry Pokemon from your game with you, and it appeared on the smaller screen like a Tamagotchi. This was good if you wanted to show off an ultra rare Pokemon to your friends that you'd caught in game. You could also catch Pokemon on the actual walker and then transfer them back to your game on the DS. It was a phenomenal accessory, and at the time was named the most accurate pedometer on the market, and it really added something different to the game, adding something fresh to a classic and possibly tired series. The DS has a treasure trove of puzzle games, and because of the stylus and touchscreen, the games worked really well. Just consider how much easier games like Bejeweled is with a stylus compared to a controller. My favourite puzzle game on the DS, unsurprisingly, is a Pokemon game. You see, Pokemon Link still requires you to collect Pokemon, and the only way you can catch the rare Pokemon is by matching blocks, aka Pokemon faces, as quickly as possible and racking up the combos. This brings out the rarer Pokemon blocks, giving you a small chance to match it up. It's a unique spin on a rather generic puzzle game, but in my opinion, it's a whole lot of fun. The DS has a good amount of RPG games for you to sink your teeth into, with JRPGs and tactics style games working particularly well. Again, this is down to the stylus and the touchscreen. Moving on to strategy and hidden object games, again, we see a lot of examples on the DS. The Professor Layton games are probably the most popular series on the DS. They utilise the system really well by making use of the touchscreen for you to solve puzzles within the game. Alongside the Professor Layton games, you'll see some big name titles like Sims 2, SimCity, Broken Sword, and interestingly, even a Viva Pinata game, which was originally, of course, an Xbox title. 2D and 3D platformers are of course a staple for any modern handheld system, with the DS launching with arguably the biggest of all time, a Mario 64 port. Unfortunately, I don't own Mario 64, but I do own some great games regardless. The most interesting of which is probably Alice in Wonderland, because it features a unique art style which suits the darker, Tim Burton-esque tone of the film, of which it is based upon. You play as multiple characters with special powers, you explore the worlds, and solve puzzles. Now moving on to some games that I would like to highlight individually, and I'll start off with Metroid Prime Hunters, which to most people's amazement is actually a first-person shooter on the DS. It is absolutely fantastic too, even allowing for local co-op in a game style similar to Quake or Unreal Tournament. Rather new to my collection is a game I saw on another channel called Rollerxcore. Please do check him out as well. And I was really intrigued by the rather unique twist on a pinball game. You see, it's a pinball game with a non-linear story, tasked with a quest to save a bull with a cold. Yeah, seriously. But as they say, it's about a journey rather than the destination. And that's the whole point of the game. You embark on a fantastical journey where you confront a giant and a sorceress. And this is all while playing pinball. Next up then is Soul Bubbles, which is very similar to the Game Boy classic Bubble Ghost. Within the game you take on the role of a spirit herder who must ferry souls to the underworld. Enclosing spirits in bubbles, you then blow the bubbles through the level, deflate them if they are too big, and even cut them into two bubbles and rejoin them later. It's a very quirky and fun game that I highly recommend. And finally, to end, is two fast-paced games in Sega All-Stars Racing and Super Monkey Ball, which are both fun and run so smoothly and without any slowdown. Or not to my untrained eye anyway. Both are enjoyable experiences and well worth picking up. And that's my collection, which I think just shows how dynamic and diverse the DS console and library actually is. I hope you enjoyed this look at my modest, yet growing collection, and I thank you for watching. Take care.